All right. It's so fun, guys, when the light goes on, because Todd's in the back over there, and Todd's like, 5, 4. He does the countdown. If any of you have ever watched Dumb and Dumber? No. What's the name of it? It's not Dumb and Dumber. What is it? Wayne's World. I couldn't remember. All right, so if anyone's ever watched Wayne's World, if you ever see Wayne and Garth, that used to be my favorite movie, and Wayne and Garth would host their own private show, Wayne's World, downstairs in their parents' garage or basement, and they would go 5, 4, and the 3, and the 2, and the 1. He wouldn't say anything. He'd just go 2, 1. That's what I feel like when Todd counts off the show. So welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Freedom-Preneur Show, where freedompreneurs come to learn, to play, to grow, and to inspire each other to doing cool, crazy things, to being a freedompreneur. And we host this show every single week. So if you're watching this live and you're seeing us in living color, welcome. It's great to have you guys here. And if you're listening on our new podcast, I want to welcome you guys to the Freedom-Preneur Show. Guys, we have been traveling around the world, living as a freedompreneur now for over 8 years, and we are inspired every day to meet new people, to learn from so many other people around the world. You know, we call it freedompreneur because in this left hand is freedom. Like, this is the heart, the soul, where inside of yourself you're like, I'm hollow. Something is missing in my life, or I've got this job and I just can't wait to get a leave of absence for 2 months so I can go travel the world, or I can't wait to save enough money because I just want to be free. Or you're looking at your child every day and going, man, there's got to be a better way, but I want to be free. I want to have my own choices. I don't want a job dictating what I do every day. And then on this right-hand side, you've got preneuring, right? So everyone's got this vision and this thought, this idea to be free, and to have no boundaries, no barriers, and not to be locked in. But then, on the other hand, there's this thing called preneuring, and that's how you're making money. How do you make money while you're living free? So we decided to start coining this phrase called freedompreneur. It's been almost 6 years we started to use this phrase, freedompreneur, because Brian and I had been traveling around the world, and we both left our corporate jobs, and we said, why aren't more people doing this? Why aren't more people living free, but they're also earning free? So why aren't they freedompreneuring? Well, there's a couple things that happened. I'm going to introduce you guys because we've got a great new guest, by the way, today. I'm so excited to introduce her. So hold tight, because you're going to not want to miss this interview and this show today. We've got a really amazing young lady coming all the way from North London, who has just recently hosted a TED Talk, was invited one of the first international speakers to be speaking at a TED Talk in Boston. So hold tight. But this whole point, guys, of this freedompreneur came to us, and I realized just the other day why 7 years ago most people weren't doing this. Think about it. Does anyone know, just in your head, or you can type in our comments below, really when the internet started to kick off? Like, really when the internet started? Brian knows the guy that went to his university at Illinois, ILL Illinois University, and University of Illinois. Sorry about that, Brian. He always gets mad at me for messing up his alma mater. And this guy created Mosaic, which was one of the first search engines for the internet. And he was in the same class as Brian. So if you think about it, guys, how many of you guys were, let's see, I was in college in 90, when I graduated in 91. So 92, 90, I guess almost 92, I went to university, and they gave me this email. I was like, what is this? This Rhonda Swan.edu, or wasn't Swan at the time. What is this thing? Like, oh yeah, that's an email. That's how we interact with you. I'm like, what? Who does that? Like, interact with each other? Like, just call me or send me a letter. But one thing I didn't realize, as we're now progressing, and the internet's really only been around for not very long, that people weren't preneuring and freedompreneuring because they really didn't know the possibilities. They didn't know what was out there. You know, when I quit my job back in 2005, the whole internet thing was just kind of kicking off. Facebook wasn't around. YouTube hadn't even started. And so how are people supposed to get in front of more people? And so we've talked about this a lot. We're like, why isn't anyone else freedompreneuring until recently? Well, it's because of the internet, the growth of where we're going around the world, that now there's so many more possibilities. There's so many more ways for people to preneur. And so now we're moving into us traveling for 8 years, and we're just getting connected by so many different people that are loving freedom. They want freedom, and they're preneuring in such a different way than we've ever done. You know, Brian and I have been working online, but we've been affiliate marketers. You know, we've had our own blog, Unstoppable Family. I just opened Unstoppable Mama, and we started creating our own products and our masterminds the last couple of years. But man, in the beginning, we were just affiliates of another company and really didn't know, but what we knew, how to preneur. And now all of a sudden, there are so many people that are just coming out of the woodwork and doing so many different things. And maybe they're a coach, or maybe they're even a yoga instructor, but they found a way to preneur and allow them to be free, whether it means they're working at home, right? Or it means they're being able to travel and still offer their yoga services, maybe their recipes, or even helping other people be free because they've become coaches or they've written a book. So guys, this is the juice of what gets me so excited now that things are progressing. And man, once people catch on that there's more ways to preneur, the world's going to be flooded. And so this is what this show's about. It's about us connecting, coming together, sharing our best stuff, talking about some of our best marketing techniques of how to preneur, or maybe it's just some of the big ideas that we've got, or meeting amazing new people and having new guests on this show to inspire you to look at what's going on in your life and to make a massive shift. So what that does, then it brings me to our guest of the day. I'm so excited to have her on here. We've got a really amazing guest. It's pretty cool. I'm actually going to have her share how we kind of got connected, because just most recently we were connected. We opened up our Freedom-Preneur Tribe community, brand new Facebook group. It's only been like a week or two, and we're like, you know what? Let's open a new tribe. Let's create a new tribe of common thinkers from around the world that love freedom, and they also love preneuring, and they've got different ways to do it. Let's connect each other, and let's just start using each other as resources, and bringing on new guests, or offering our best app ideas, or our best books, or maybe our best ways to focus, right? Or help each other leverage getting more eyeballs on our website, talking to more people, finding more people that may love or want our product services, right? And so we just opened the doors up, and it kept it really quiet. I think Brian sent it in a couple emails, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, we got tons of people. So now we've got like hundreds of people waiting to get in, and we decided that we're going to have an application process, not because we just don't want everyone flooding in, but because we want people that want to be there, that are coming for a purpose. Because, we have some rules. You can't come in and spam people, and you have to come in and want to contribute and be a world changer, be someone that brings light to the world and has something amazing to offer and that are really inspiring. And our guest today that we've got, guys, hits every single one of those areas. And I'm excited to have her. So I was posting up in the group, and I'm like, okay, does anyone want to be, a host or a guest host on the Freedom-Preneur Show? And then of course here's Stacey. She writes up. I had my first TED Talk. It's not even edited yet, and I'm like, what? Are you kidding? I've got to have this girl out, because she's doing amazing things for herself, for the world, and she's also was just recently a TEDx speaker in Boston just this past October. And so I'm so excited to have Stacey Sargison-Shawe from North London come join us on the call today. Before you come out, Stacey, I want to just share with everyone a bit more about you. She's a coach, an international speaker, and the cool part is, and I know it's cool, but it's one of those things that we love to hear. She just recently left about 18 months ago. She had a big A-lister Hollywood-style job, those cush kind of jobs that we've all talked about, but she ended up finding herself really shallow and unfulfilled. And so she left that amazing red carpet A-lister lifestyle to just truly live a life of freedom. And now she is helping people all over the world really find their true purpose, their true passion, and to live life on their terms. Kind of sounds perfect freedom-preneuring to me. And she's also an anti-bullying campaigner. That's what Stacey's talk was on most recently in her TEDx talk. So she's got really amazing things. And since she started up her business, she has been featured on the BBC in London, or the London Time, U.S. Press, iTunes. It was recently, of course, as I mentioned, invited to speak at in Boston. And guys, this is amazing. I've met a couple people that have done TED Talks, a few friends. I want to do a TED Talk too, so I can't wait to hear about this. But Stacey, come and join our Freedom-Preneur community and our tribe. Say hello, and I want to just kind of kick it off with you and just find out what's itching inside of you. What's happening over in the morning right now in North London? Lovely
well,
lady.
good morning or good evening, wherever you're listening to this. So thank you, Rhonda, for having me on the show. I said to you just before the call, I actually have goose pimples. I'm a little bit starstruck because I discovered Rhonda about 2 years ago. I was in my cushy job. It was the job that used to say in conversations to people, and it ultimately made people want to know more. But the scary thing, and the thing that I realized that things weren't fitting in, and I realized that it doesn't matter what job title you have. If you're missing something inside, that's all, I'm not sure if I can swear here, but that's all bollocks. It doesn't mean anything. Because I had, in the climb to the top of the corporate ladder, I was climbing up to the top when I didn't even know what the top was. You just go on this rat race, I call it the corporate cage. I was in my open plan office, and I really had lost myself in the climb up to the top. And I was stumbling on YouTube. I was, as we all do in work sometimes, if you're in a job and you're unhappy, you start looking at YouTube and you're looking at inspirational videos. And I stumbled across Rhonda and Brian, and I don't know what it was. It was your energy, Rhonda, I think, first and foremost. I was like, wow, this woman, I've seen more energy in this woman in the last 2 minutes than I have this entire week from this corporate job.
Scares most.
Sorry, lovely?
I said that usually scares most people.
Oh God, no! I was just like, right, I need to know more. So I did like a YouTube binge on the Unstoppable Family. I think I signed up to your newsletter or blog, and then because it was the energy that attracted me, but ultimately, it's that feeling of you now know there is an option out there, that it is possible, and it's up to you to actually make that shit happen. And I think that accountability that I had for myself, it's like, okay, there are people out there doing it, so why aren't you even at least finding out? I think that scared me, and so I think I unsubscribed, and I just thought, okay, enough now, because you're telling me something that I know I can do, but I'm too scared, because this lovely job, the nice salary, it meant I was something to people. They were proud of me, and I thought, if I let all of that go, then what's left? Because I didn't know who I was. So I found it important to do self-discovery first before I even think about thinking about having a career or having my own business. So once I then realized I started doing self-discovery, I tell you what, the shift happened. It was just, once I started to ask myself, what is it I want out of life? Cut all the other people's expectations and what you should do and what society thinks you should do. I had played the game. I had gone to university. I'd worked my arse off. I'd got really good jobs at Apple, working with Apple, Pepsi, Aston Martin, BAFTA, and then I went and worked in the Hollywood film industry, and then I just thought, but still I'm wanting more. So then, for the first time in my life, I asked myself what I wanted to do, and the first thing that comes up every time, I still even ask that, is like, travel. That's where I come alive. I led an expedition in rural Africa in one of my sabbaticals, because you have to wait usually. And I had this opportunity to do an expedition, and that changed my life. I did it for 2 years, went back to the corporate world, and I was like, I'm not the same person. No way. Yeah, So yeah, that's a little bit of my story. Sorry for going on.
Wow, I love hearing this. Wow, so you went and did an expedition in Africa. And so how long did you do? What did you tell us about that? Because I know when there's so many times when people have breaking points and they actually do something about it. And so you weren't working, you were taking some time out to really go internal and reflect. Share us about how it happened for you.
Yeah, so basically what that was really, if I'm honest, I started my Facebook page, Flutter Extraordinaire, because at the time I was fluttering, and that's the nickname everybody I knew had for me. It's like, God sakes, you're such a fluttery, you can't keep still. You know, you have this amazing job, and then you get bored, then you go to the next thing. Even in interviews, they would say, cool, you've got a curveball of a career. But that ultimately got me through the door. But anyway, with the expedition, the first time, because it happened twice, the first time I was working with Apple, and I thought, God, I must have been about 24, 25, and I Googled, hand on heart, I Googled travel for a month, get paid to travel for a month or something, and then the world of expedition leading came up. So I clicked on a UK company, never done an expedition in my life before. The only thing I'd done, you know, was a scuba diving. I was doing my scuba diving instructor course, and they wanted a scuba expedition leader. So I thought, well, at least I tick one box. I'm a scuba diver. Have I led expeditions anywhere in the world? No. Had I led people like youngsters, 16 to 18? No. Was that going to stop me? No, because I thought, well, I can always say, I want to travel and I can scuba dive. Had the most rigorous interview, and yeah, they gave it to me. So I took 16 to 18-year-olds out from the UK. We went to rural Africa where we helped communities build wildlife projects, and it was really a case for them to learn to you know, kind of discover themselves, whilst then at the end doing some scuba diving. But in rural Africa, in the middle of nowhere, when you see such a stark contrast in cultures, that gives me goosies every time. That is why I looked at the students and thought, you're not the only ones that are discovering something here. And then once I'd done that for 2 years, and I used to go around the UK presenting to schools, so thousands of people, I'd done that before. I just thought, this is encompassing exactly what I want, but one thing. It was the salary, it was the money aspect. And in all honesty, all three need to be, in my mind at that time, needed to be met. So then I went back to the corporate world because, you know, that was the thing to do. That's what people were saying I should do. But yes, it was incredible.
Well, you know, okay, so she said hit a few things, and I'm just going to roll with this because what you're bringing up is just really profound. You're right. There are 3 things that I believe that you have to hit too. You know, many people do go on these sabbaticals and they have these freedom-preneur ideas, and I just got to go and give back. But there are some things you need to hit. It's mind, body, for me, and money. And you know, those are really the core elements of being a freedom-preneur. You got to have your mind straight right. You got to take care of yourself. In order to take care of yourself and others, you got to take care of you. But you also have to have the money side. That's why we hit that preneuring end. So you go on this expedition and you have a breaking point. You go back, right? What was the breaking point that made you switch 18 months ago and say, okay, I'm finally breaking the chain? Because you were breaking the chain and coming back, but you still had a little baby leash connected. Yeah. Which I think a lot of people can relate to.
So I think, yeah, the breaking point, I can remember it, and it's quite profound as well, and quite, it makes me well up at this time of year, because it was this time of year around about 2 years ago when a couple of things had happened in my life. I'd turned 30, and I'd realised that I've got another 30 years of you know, being nice to people that I don't want to be nice to, that don't deserve respect, in all honesty. I realised that I was being bullied in the workplace after spending years, throughout my entire academic years, being bullied. I had now been victim to workplace bullying. And also, I was sat at my computer. It was this time of year. Everyone in the office went downstairs for drinks, you know, down the pub downstairs, or go and leave their friends, and you know, to go and visit their friends and family for the Christmas holidays. And I was in the office until 11 o'clock, gone 11 o'clock that night, doing a report that was urgent. And even though no one was going to read it until the new year, I had to send it to my boss. And I was listening, don't judge me here, people, but I was listening to Michael Bublé's Christmas festive songs. And I just, obviously that may be a low point anyway, but I remember thinking, this is not okay. This has got to stop. My family and my loved ones should be a priority, not somebody that wants a report just because they can be ahead in the game in the new year, when I'm just a number. They don't care about me and my family. You know, at no point did they say, don't worry about it until the new year. No, they wanted it sent before I left for the holidays. And they gave me that morning, you know, that kind of request in the morning. And I thought, no more. You know, I'd lost who I was. I wasn't seeing friends and family. Yes, the salary was good, but for what? I couldn't spend the most precious thing of all, which is my time, with those that I love. So what was the point of the money? And what was the point of the status job, if I'm honest? So yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is, and I know a lot of our followers, you know, we've got thousands of followers that are probably in that exact same position, Stacey, because they feel it, they know it, and the walls are crumbling down, but they still keep that little connector because it's fearful to let it go. It's scary to go on your own. It's scary to take a stand for what you believe in. But the moment you hit a breaking point, and that's typically what happens, is I had the same thing. There was a breaking point. I saw a woman put a brand new 6-week-old baby in daycare, and I hadn't even had a child, and I went, whoa, what am I doing? You know, I had a cushy job too. It was amazing, and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I'm not going to let this happen, and if I'm going to rely on anyone for the rest of my life, who do I want it to be? A job or a boss that couldn't care less about me, or myself? So is it scary to rely on you? Because, hey, let's be honest, guys. We had jobs. We know. I was a high producer, but I really don't think I gave it my all. I work 24 hours a day now because it's my life and I love it. But back in my job, I'm like, away with everything I could get away with to stay at the top. And that's honest, right? And so we're really not putting all of our efforts in, but it's scary because you could hide under a, you know, if you had a sales team, you're like, wow, we're doing pretty good. You're like, oh, thank goodness that guy lifted us up this month, right? So you can hide. And I tell you what, guys, it's very confronting, right, to have to take a stand for yourself. But there's that breaking point that every one of us have. And if there's some people that are kind of on that fence, it's because they haven't seen it yet, or they haven't accepted the breaking point or said, that's it, identified it. So, okay, so now, Stacey, you make this breaking point. You're there. You're like, no more. I go to Africa. I come back. I'm at Christmas time, and I'm supposed to do this report. So what happens then? Because you made some drastic changes to become a pure freedompreneur on your own, start your own thing, and now here you are also taking on TED. So let's start from the breaking point to where you are, what you're doing for the world, and then let's get to this TED Talk. This is amazing stuff.
Okay, so like I said, so I have to reach the breaking point, and I would say to everybody listening that in order to have change, you have to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. People can show you how in the meantime, if you're kind of dipping your toe in, but like you said, you have to be at that point when enough is enough. And only you will know what that point is. It can either, like you said, be seeing somebody or experiencing yourself. So I'd realised then the new year was going to be different. And I have to be honest, at that point, I put everything, and I'm talking everything, into finding out who I was. So I hired my own personal coach at the time. I literally Googled self-development and that type of thing. So if anybody's thinking about keywords of what they could use if they're in a similar field, you know, it is about self-development, working from home, keywords of, you know, how can I be my own boss? When do I know when to quit my job? All of these types of things, you know, were all things I Googled, and people that find me have Googled as well. And I think that you have to really understand what it is before you can even think about doing a business. Understand what it is you want out of life. Really get clear on that, and that's what I spent a couple of months doing. Don't get me wrong, it was an absolute roller coaster of a ride, because you have to break down, because ultimately you'll write a list and go back to it, because that list isn't really your list. That's people telling you should do something, or that you don't want to let your family down, you don't want to let your embarrass your friends, that you're failing at something yet again. But it's not failing. Get that out of your mind, because that's what I had to learn. It's not that I failed. I'd done that job, yes, but in actual fact I'm being true to myself. How is that possibly failing if you want to be true to yourself and own that? I'm all about owning your story, because we're here for, I truly believe we're here for a reason, and that sounds cliche, but it's true. And it's your responsibility to find out what it is you're here to do and to serve. I truly, before anything else, I've always known I wanted to help people. I just didn't know in what capacity, hence the charity work, hence the expeditions and giving back and doing lots of things with the homeless in London. I was always giving back. But it was, how do I give but also receive, and be okay with receiving, and what would I receive? And that ultimately then turned into I'm going to work for myself. I'm going to help people. How can I help people? Okay, well, what do I enjoy doing? So I, you know, like you said about yoga, I mean, I help people who love yoga that are sick and tired of having their own studios and bringing it online so they can go anywhere around the world. And I thought, with my list of what I want out of life, how can I serve others to get similar things that I want? Because ultimately, if I do that, I'm already talking to people I know, because it's pretty much me in a mirror. And so that'll help with language and things. So that really was what I did for a good few months after I reached the breaking point, was find out what it is I want. Then I Googled the hell out of people that I'd seen on Facebook, or I just Googled people that were living the lifestyle I wanted. And then, Rhonda, I just invested not only time but money, because I thought ultimately we can spend thousands on mortgages or lovely cars or ridiculous 2-week holidays to get back to normality, which ultimately makes you miserable. When I thought, no, enough of that, enough. I'm going to invest in myself. And it was the hardest, most challenging, but rewarding thing I've ever done in my life. And it gives you confidence beyond your wildest dreams, because you're owning yourself, you're owning your story, and you're making your life how you want it to be. And just one other thing quickly, Rhonda, is ultimately times are changing now. The times of having a job for life are over. I mean, in the stint, the about 4-year stint of working or 3-hour stint working in the movie industry, there were 3 rounds of redundancies, getting smaller and smaller, teams getting smaller and smaller, people stressing about their job. I tell you what, by me being my own boss, I can govern, well, do I want to do this anymore? Well, let's change it. Or I would much prefer to rely on myself than to rely on somebody else that couldn't care less if I'm going to pay my bills next month. Because ultimately, that's the cutthroatness of it, if I'm honest. You know, and yeah. Is everything okay?
Yeah, no, it's good. We started to cut out for a minute, so I'm like, let me make. So I apologize, guys, if I cut out at all. But I think, Stacey, you were fine. You know, it's like I hear you speaking, and it's like I feel like you're replaying my story, right? The exact same things happen, and I think that so many of us go through those exact phases, right? It's like the 5 phases of grieving, right? At first it's like, oh, it's uncomfortable, it's scary, and you're doubting it, and then, you know, it's fearful, and then you start to get the groove, and you realize, okay, I can do this, and I can do something on my own. I do find the right people to either model after or to be mentored by. But in the end, it's all about us. It has nothing to do with other people. And I remember looking and trying to be other people early on, like, I got to just be me and find what makes me tick. And once you found that, and really what you're true for, you know, it's such a fulfilling feeling to know that you're taking a stand for what you believe in. You identify what your core values are, and boom, nothing can sway you. So people or opinions really don't matter anymore, right? Yeah. I think I love Dr. Seuss's comment that other people's opinions, you know, are none of my business in a Dr. Seuss style of way, right? But it's like their opinions really have nothing to do with me. So Stacey, will you share with everyone what maybe as a big fear that you've had, or that comes up for you while you're, you know, working independently now that you've made this big switch?
Yeah, I think you touched on it just a moment ago, actually. It's that letting go of what other people think. When I first started, yes, I've had a couple of coaches, and you're right, I just tried to mirror what they did. I was missing the key point, and the key point of everything that I do it's you. People want to see you, they want to know about you, and they want to know about how you're making things happen. And ultimately, at first I was really upset about people unliking my page, or people unsubscribing, or people putting nasty comments. All 3 I still have today, but do you know what? This time I'm in a different place, because then they're just making way for people that get me. Because not everybody in life is going to get you, and that's okay, because you're not talking to everybody. You're talking to the person that you know in your heart that you want to talk to, you want to work with, you want to spend your days when we're entrepreneurs, and especially when we're traveling and we're on our own. You want to talk to people that you like not somebody that's a bit of a wet weekend or doesn't have the same mindset as you, that's a bit flaky. So once you own your story, yourself, what you're going to, what you can provide or deliver, and the service that you're putting out into the world, and be proud of that. It doesn't matter if people unsubscribe. Let them go. Don't worry about it, because they're not part of your world, but that's okay.
I love that. I love what Tim Ferriss always says. He's like, if you don't have any haters, you're not touching enough lives. You've got to have haters. Like, come on, think about it, guys. Oprah Winfrey, Mother Teresa, Gandhi, they have haters. How can you have a hater if you're those type of person? But there are people around the world that are just, they want to hate, and unfortunately, I always say, the more I can give and be me, I got people, they just give me so much stuff. They call us this, they call it that. And I'm like, hey, I'm out here doing something. I am sharing my vision and my voice just as I can, my best as I can. If you don't like it, just go and talk and listen to somebody else. But don't try to squish my passions, right? How dare you try to squish my goodness I'm giving out to the world? And, so you just got to let them go. So I would say it's delete and ban when it comes to Facebook.
Yeah, I definitely, I couldn't, sorry, Rhonda.
Yeah, go on.
I couldn't believe it when I did it with all my subscribers. I sent out, because I said anybody that subscribes will get the first dibs of basically the raw, unedited version of my TED Talk, because they've been along the journey with me, and it's very much sharing the story and for them to be a part of it, because they are a part of my life. So I like to kind of give value to my subscribers, and I did a TED newsletter, and I said, look, here's the raw unedited version. And I think I sent you the link, but I had a response back from somebody that was anonymous, and I don't know who it was, and they said something along the lines, because my talk was about bullying and finding yourself and kind of own it, I'm all about inspiring possibility and igniting confidence. And then the reply was kind of a few sentences saying, you weren't bullied, basically get a grip, you can't be, not everybody wants, you can't be nice in this world, or something like that. I can't remember verbatim what it was, but I did this huge reply. I thought, right, delete it, don't sweat on it. But I thought, no, I'm sick of this, because you're right, you get a few haters, the people that put you down and stuff, but I just said, no, enough is enough. This is my why. My why is bigger than my own fear. So your little crappy little comments are not really going to stop this, because I've already happened to deal with my own fear. So, and I did a reply, and that reply has been shared to a blog that's like 60,000 people and stuff. It's just taken off like you won't believe.
Well, it's powerful, because that's just another form of bullying too, isn't it?
Quite exactly.
In people, that's what people need to be aware of, which kind of brings us to your TED Talk, because I know that you're a campaigner for bullying, because it's happened to you in your early years and into even the workplace, and that is something big that takes place, that other people's fears are just, they would rather put you down than empower you and really raise you up. And so how did you get this invitation to speak at TED? Because that has got to be one of the coolest things ever, and what a fulfilling way to start sharing your vision and your journey.
Thank you. I have to pinch myself. So I'll just take it back, but I'll try and be as quick as I can. So what happened was, when I stumbled upon your video, I was then obsessed with YouTube inspirational talks and things. Then I discovered the TED Talks, and at the time with my coach, I was doing a dream board or a vision board or whatever you want to call it. But basically, I did all these things from magazines that inspired me before Pinterest, really, because I don't even think Pinterest was big back then. I know, God, it's like I'm moving so fast. So I kid you not, I think I have it, but it's my dream board was a stage. Do you mind if I just see if I can quickly get it?
Yes, get it. Because this is great. So what we'll have everyone do is, if I want you guys to be able to ask some questions, and so this will be posted up, and make sure you ask some questions that you may have for myself or Stacey. We'll always do our best. And if you're inside of our Freedom-Preneur group, we'll have the post up when this goes live, and you'll be able to ask some questions, and we'll respond to you in that comment section. But this is awesome. Okay, show me the stream.
Okay.
I love it.
Oh my God, this is so weird. This is like vulnerability, like Brene Brown says, on a massive scale. Okay, so this was my vision board that I did, like real old-fashioned, Like, and it's like dream big in the middle, and then these two things. Little did I know that subconsciously that stage was my TED stage, because I was looking at TED Talks, and I had envisaged me in a red dress with the nude microphone, and I said to my friends and family, you know, I want to help people, and they said, oh, that's well and good, you know, how are you going to do that? And I said, I'm going to do a TED Talk. Honestly, I didn't even know how to go about it at that point. That was my goal. And I thought, honestly, I was planning like 5-10 years time, and then to have that happen in like 2 years was just incredible. So how did I get around doing it? Well, the $1 million question, which I don't think I've even told my followers, so this is an exclusive. So the thing is, when you're an entrepreneur, is all about kind of doing things that are slightly different to everybody else. So I've done interviews with some huge kind of other inspirational people, and even on their websites it says, you know, we don't really do interviews, but email people, actually talk to people like they're a human being, and that will open doors to you for you more than filling out the form they've put on there online. You know, follow them online, follow them on LinkedIn, send them a message. That's how I got my Hollywood, one of my Hollywood jobs, because I worked at 2 studios. Just contacting them, that person, find out the details, and not in a stalkerish way, like I have probably with you and Brian, but like, you know, just talk to them like a human being, saying, this is my story. If I had looked online and had seen that talk and already seen the speakers, because normally they do it in about 6 or 8 months in advance, so get ahead of the curve, would be one massive clue, but one massive tip. But for me, they were doing a talk, oh gosh, it must have been about a month, like 4 weeks or 6 weeks, 4 weeks or 6 weeks time. They'd already sorted out their speakers at the time, and I just remember seeing, if I looked at that website, Rhonda, I would have been overwhelmed. There was somebody that had received a Google Science Award from President Obama. There was somebody that discovered planets. And then there's Stacey from, you know, England saying, hi, this is my story. But it's about owning your story, owning what you want to do. I want to inspire others. I want to share my message that it's okay to have, you know, been bullied, been unconfident, not sure, you know, not having your shit together, not sure what you want to do. It's okay. You know, but if you want to share that message, then realize when you look at the TED Talks, there's always a theme. Make sure your message fits in with that theme. Don't be the person to spam people. Nobody likes spammers. You know, it takes time and it takes effort. And I stayed up till, I messaged you, 4 o'clock UK time here, because I was up working, and then I was up at 8. But it's because it's for me. You know, once you love it and once you are embracing everything with every fibre of your being, it'll be worth it. So TED, if you want to get on TED Talk, Google the TED Talks. Make sure that your message is what is the topic that they're going to be doing, because I'll tell you what, the amount of people that they said had contacted them, but just spam email them saying, I want to do a TED Talk. Well, what's your story? How can it help others? You know, what message is it giving? Once you have that, then go and search out. So I did that, and then like literally 3 weeks they said, do you want to come and do a TED Talk in 3 weeks' time? TED Talks, you don't get paid, which is fine, because, you know, that's a huge platform. But to me, it was, anyone would say, I don't have the money to have the flight to go over there to do this, to stay in a hotel, it's going to cost X amount. To me, money is energy, etc., etc. And so I just thought, no, I'm investing in sharing that message to everybody, because it will come back. Regardless of how much I think it's going to be to get there, the value of what I'm saying and who it could possibly help and what difference it would make in their life, yeah, it made perfect sense to do it. That why not do it? And nobody can now take that away from me, Rhonda.
Oh, wow. And so, yeah, you're standing in front of 500 people in an audience, and now you're going to be in front of millions of people because you've been able to now put yourself on that platform. And that's probably one of the biggest nuggets that anyone that's listening or watching can take, because when you have a story or you have a purpose or a vision that you want to get out to the world, you'll do whatever it takes to get it in front of the world. And you touched on a platform that no one really thinks about when they're like, oh, I want to get my story out there, so I'm going to put it on YouTube, or I'm going to do a blog, or I'm going to have my own website and put it on Facebook. Wow, how about getting in front of bigger groups, bigger platforms? Here we're going to have thousands of people that are going to watch us and hear your story, that are going to connect with you, and because you've got something that others deserve to hear. And I'm so happy to have you on this show today. Okay, what would you say, quickly, what is your best piece of advice you think you've ever gotten?
Best piece of advice. Always be true to yourself.
Always be true to yourself. That's a huge one. So many people are willing to follow what others tell them to do. So being true to yourself, perfect. Do you have a favorite book that you're reading now, or that you always recommend?
Oh, I do. If on cue. I would definitely say, I'm not an affiliate of this or anything, but definitely The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks.
Yes, awesome.
Really good one. If you're struggling with money mindset, either Think and Grow Rich is a good one, or The Science of Getting Rich, and that really puts things into perspective. And my last one, sorry Rhonda, if you're looking for like a story to inspire you, I would definitely say one of them I like is Adriana Huffington, Thrive.
Adriana Huffington. I'm going to write that one down. Yeah.
So it's all about redefining success and creating a happier life. And obviously, I don't have it because it's near my bed, but The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, without a shadow of a doubt.
Of course, those are all my favorite. I had not read Adriana Huffington. She's the creator of the Huffington Post, and she's amazing. I haven't read that one yet, so that's going to be on my list. We've been doing a book of the month club, but we typically go through like 4 or 5. But we, for my daughter, we read The Way of the Peaceful Warrior with my daughter, and now we're reading The Traveler's Gift. And I tell you, it's awesome to read these books that I read for myself when I was, in my 30s, early personal development. My daughter's 8, so to think of her starting to touch these minds early, we won't go through this garbage that we did in our 20s, our 10s, our 20s, our 30s, and even into our 40s. We can equip them so early. So, Stacey, I want to really thank you for being here, because you're such an inspiration to so many people that have been able to just step through, take charge, but you're still human. You've gone through the phases of grief, you've gone through the challenges and the fears, and they're still going to crop up. And you are, living proof that you can have what you want. You have to go for it. It gets scary. You take crazy adventures to figure it out. And then you stand in front of a group, and you're now doing a TED Talk, and now you're in front of this Freedom-Preneur tribe of amazing people that think like you. And now we're all going to be able to leverage from each other the things that we've learned. And that is what this movement is about for me. That is part of the mission that, we started years ago. We didn't understand why no one was doing it, but now we know why. And now it's time to collect all those minds, are bringing freedom into their true being, and then they're learning to preneur, and we want to learn it and share it, and that's what we're going to continue to do. So Stacey, thank you for being here. Everyone, please make sure that you're either posting comments below on this page, or you're posting comments if it's on a blog post, or if you're on iTunes and you're listening in, or if you're inside of our private group. Make sure that you find look where we can find Stacey. In fact, why don't you tell us, Stacey, where everyone can find you, whether it's Facebook or a blog, how they can get more of you, and how they can watch that TED Talk.
Fantastic. Yes, so you can find me on stacyshore.com, and I'm on Facebook under Fletcher Extraordinaire, and I'm going to be doing a lot about travel. 2016 is the year of travel for stacyshore.com, so there's a few things doing that. So if you love travel and you want to discover yourself, definitely be part of that, and so make sure you subscribe. So stacyshore.com/subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in Peru or Africa next year.
All right, there you have it. I love it. Perfect. And we'll make sure that we have all the links, guys, available to you on our pages, so that you can get more of stacyshaw.com, and make sure you find her on Facebook. And I watched your most recent video that you shot right before the TED Talk, actually, that you posted up, and it was really inspiring, because I could see you know, that your dreams came true and they keep coming true. And these are the type of emotions and vulnerabilities that we all deserve to know, that we go through, and excitement. And there's so many new changes. I call this, Stacey, my year of the 8. I was 42, 44 times 2 is 8, 2015 adds up to 8, my daughter's 8, we've been traveling for 8 years. And I'm like, okay, what's 2016 going to be? Oh, double 8. 8 times 2 is 16. So it's like, yes, so many ups and downs and greatness has happened this year, and I'm ready to roll them into my new year too, with so many different new things that we've got, just sharing what we love and how we can help change the world by one bit of energy at a time, and that's just sharing. So, Stacey, thank you again. Everyone, thank you for being here, and always be unstoppable. We'll see you guys in the virtual office. Cheers, everyone.